What do you say? Hi, I'm Darryl Choronzey, and today I'm doing something just a little different. I've got my Yamaha Kodiak ATV, and I've got my Sportspal canoe, and I've got my best all-time fishing buddy. It's my yellow lab, Millie, and we're fishing a lake, and it could be a lake that's really close to your home. It's a lake like probably 10,000 others across Canada. It's full of bass. Now, that doesn't mean lunker bass, and there are some big bass in this lake, but there's a lot of small bass, and it's an area where there's so many bass that you don't see bass to big proportions. We're gonna be leaving the spawning beds alone. We're gonna be leaving the guarding males alone. We're gonna have a lot of fun with juvenile bass, and we maybe even eat a few, eh? Stay with us, because we're going fishing.
I'm going fishing all the time, and my baby's going fishing too. Bet your life that your sweet wife can catch more fish than you. Any fish will bite if you got the right bait. Now here's a little something that I'd like to relate. With my pole and my line, I'm going fishing. Yes, I'm going fishing. My baby's going fishing too.
Going Fishing with Darryl Choronzey is brought to you in part by Johnson and Evinrude, the top names in fishing. Princecraft Boats, a higher standard of quality. Abu Garcia, for life. And by Molson Canadian, I am Canadian. He's been involved in the Canadian fishing industry for almost 30 years. He's written outdoor columns in national dailies, edited and published his own fishing magazine, and hosts a cross-Canada television series. And what does he do on his day off? What else? He goes fishing. Whenever the opportunity arises, Choronzey likes nothing better than to make tracks for the backcountry. Today, our host has jumped on his Yamaha all-terrain vehicle and is heading off-road to a small southwestern Ontario pothole lake. Just the boss, his yellow Labrador Millie, and hopefully a good number of receptive largemouth bass. You know, it's amazing just how many of these little bodies of water are scattered throughout the country. Would you believe tens of thousands? And surprisingly enough, most are lightly fished and filled to the brim with panfish, bass, walleye, and trout. Stay with us as the boss and his old yellow fishing buddy enjoy a day canoeing in the backcountry for largemouth bass.
I think we got a good bucket mouth here, Bill. Gotta get him above that log. Tighten that drag down. Oh, get up there. Oh, get up there. Oh, get up there. Millie, take the paddle, Mill, and turn the boat around just a little so I can get this fish. Millie, pass me the net, will you? Bucket mouth, just don't start. Just don't. Nice fish. What do you think, Millie? A little bigger? They're getting there, eh? What the dog, oh, excuse me, she doesn't like being called a dog. What Millie and I are doing is two very simple things. We're using a frenzy diver, and we're trying to find structure. And at this end of the lake, we've got some logs sticking up, right? Are you enthused? Well, we've got some logs, and we're either gonna be throwing towards the logs, or we're going to be throwing towards the bush piles on the side of the shoreline. It's, 2 or 3 weeks after the bass have spawned in here, so they started to move offshore a little bit. There's still a few back in the brush piles, but they're starting to move out to these logs. Does this one look enthused or what? Now here's a little tip. If you want a good fishing partner, get yourself a yellow lab. Not a black, not a chocolate, get yourself a yellow lab. They go a little dozy in a canoe, but they're great fishing partners. Right, sweetie. There we are, there we are, there we are. Oh, golly, come on, fish. Oh, a little better. That's a little better, Mill. I gotta go out. You're gonna go out fish. Come on. I'm gonna stay away from these trees. That's a little better. Matter of fact, that's a little better. Come on, fish. Oh. Now, Millie, just watch you don't bang into that trunk. Come on, Mr. Fish. Just sit right. He's got a yammer full of double trebles. Now, fish like this, they're chunky, and they're just starting to feed again. Looks like a little female by that vent. And she's dropped her eggs. She's left Mr. Bass to take care of the little ones. And she's back out here, and they're lying just off these drop-offs. What we've done, well, she swims away. What we've done, my fishing companion and myself, is we came in this morning. I figured there'd be a lot of fish along the shallows, so we put on surface baits, and we really didn't do that well. We put on the Frenzy Diver, and we're just fishing these drop-offs. The big females, and we hope we get some big females today, are out under these logs. They're in about anywhere from 10 to 12 feet of water, and they're resting, okay? It's been a long, hard, laborious process for these females to drop the eggs. The males, and I don't want to get a lot of these males, are doing the babysitting right now, and they'll probably stay with the little bass for another week or so. But we are finding that the fish are not in the shallows. They're out just on the drop-offs, and we've got to get the lures down to them. So what I'm going to try to keep running is this Frenzy Diver. We're going to get down about 8 feet, right, Millie? About 8 feet. Boy, is this dog ever anxious to catch fish. Let's go for it.
And now, through the eyes of Tasco, the tackle selection of the week. Today we used an Abu Garcia CD4 1000 reel with an Abu Garcia Conilon Premier rod. We are using 6-pound Berkeley Vanish line. Our choice of bait is the Berkeley Frenzy Diver. And don't forget your Tasco binoculars.
Oh, right under the boat. I had 3 of them here, Millie. You know what? I had 4, maybe 5 largemouth bass. I'm sitting here talking to the dog, and all of a sudden, bang! And I've got 5 or 6 of them under the boat here. I was talking to the dog. And I was almost resting this Frenzy Diver. Like, we can't see this now, but there's at least 4 or 5 others. And I've got him just on the side. There's at least 4 or 5 other largemouth here. Sit still there. I wasn't paying any attention. When I get alone with my lab, I forget all the cares in the world, and I also forget to set the hook sometime. There had to be at least 6 or 7. I said 4, but as I was bringing this fish up to the boat, these guys come up following it. And what we saw a minute ago, swim away there, Mr. Bass. What we saw a minute ago, or what I saw, my fishing partner was sleeping, the middle of the lake started to erupt. What happened was these bass, and I would imagine they're mostly juvenile males. They could be some adult males. They're coming up and they're pushing these shiners up off the bottom and up to the top, and the water broke. So I made a cast out there. I just said to Millie, I guess there's nothing, and then bang, there they were. Millie, let's go. Come on, we'll go get them again. Let's go get them. All right. Millie, there's not a lot of big ones around, but they're plentiful.
It was Canada's first means of transportation. Today, for small lake fishing, there's no better means of navigating shorelines through weed beds or in and out of shallow backwater bays. Without a doubt, the sport of canoeing is witnessing a resurgence in popularity from coast to coast across North America. For more than 50 years, Sportspal canoes have endured as one of Canada's favorites. In fact, more than 250,000 Sportspals have glided across Canadian waters since the company's inception. Constructed of marine-grade aluminum and weighing as little as 30 pounds, the Sportspal is the ideal small water craft. They may not be slick, fast watercraft, but for maneuverability in and around ponds and backwater lakes, there's just no boat like them.
You know, me and my hairy girlfriend just decided that we're going to get off the main lake and come back to this. We knew this pothole was existing here, but what we came across is probably 10,000 little largemouth or smallmouth bass. Now, this is floating bog in here, and what's happened is the big male bass have brought the little guys out here for protection. But if you look real hard, you can see those little bass swimming around the pads. While you're watching the little bass, I'm going to go and try and catch a big bass right here. And it is safe to stand up in a canoe here for the simple reason I've got the canoe situated right on top of some muskeg. It's going to give me a little better footing.
Going Fishing returns with more smallmouth bass action.
Millie, open your eyes. And I don't want to lose our spot on this log, Millie, because it's getting windy. But we got one here, Millie, that's playing a little tough. Still not giants, Millie. They're all... Come on, fish. Come on. And I do not want to lose my place in this log, so I don't have to paddle anymore today. But again, these fish... Oh, this one's a little better. These fish, I got 3 or 4. Now, this happens every time. There's a dozen bass following this guy. And don't sit still there, because I don't want to hurt you. I just want to get your mouth open, and there we go. Now, this is one of the bigger ones today. And this fish, I don't know, maybe this one hasn't even been on the beds. This is a... I'm going to have a look at her as soon as I get this treble out of her. Now, that's a female. Don't ask me how I can tell, but trust me, that's a female. But most of the fish have spawned. I'm going to put her back in the water. She's going to go and find herself a boyfriend. Again, most of these fish have spawned, and I know you've heard me say this over and over, but you're going to get these periods right after the season opens, depending on how the spring is. We've had a cold spring this year. Fish are a little late getting onto the beds and getting off the beds, but most of the fish have spawned. The females drop off to deeper water. They want to recuperate. The males are still with the little guys, and I'm trying to stay away from them, because if you pull a male away from his offspring, what's going to happen is the crappie or other bass are going to come in and gobble them up. So I'm fishing out here, playing around with the juveniles, and I'm quite happy. Me and my yellow lab. Okay, gorgeous, I just want to right back up on that log. What do you think?
Years in development, the Frenzy Diver was first born in the computer, tested in a tunnel simulator, and then carefully studied in specially designed viewing tanks. Manufactured of rugged space-age plastic, painted with a variety of lifelike finishes, and encased in an extra hard clear coating, the Frenzy baits are guaranteed to swim and fish effectively right out of the box. That frenzy action is derived from a combination of body design and internal weight transfer. The weight shifts to the rear for bullet-like casting, and then moves to the nose during retrieve for a steep dive that keeps the lure in the strike zone longer and creates the action that turns bass on. Available in 3 sizes and several colors, there's a Frenzy Diver designed for every fishing condition.
Oh, Millie, 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 Millie. Millie, take that off for me, will you, sweets? Will you take that off? I guess I'll take it off. Same thing. Same thing. Now, I don't know where the big babies are today. Like I said, they might even be a real late spawn and they're back there on the bed still, but I still think they're recuperating. But what we've done, see you later, buddy. We've come back in here and anchored, me and my best fishing buddy. But what we've done is we've come back in here and anchored for the simple reason the wind is up, the wind is down. I figure if I anchor, there's a lot of these bass, and they're only this size. They're sitting in here amongst these lily pads, and I can actually take the Frenzy Diver, pick a pocket, toss it out, and work it amongst the weeds. The bass are here, and the bass are grabbing it. Right, Mel?
And now for the Molson Canadian Tip of the Week. Canoes can take you to hard-to-get places where the fish are plentiful and always on the bite.
Millie, you know what I did there? I just flopped that lure right into that brush pile. Oh my golly, look at, Millie, look what I got. Look at that. Now that is a nice black crappie, kiddo. Look at that. Millie, this is a black crappie, sweetie. Now this is why they call them black crappies. In the fall and in the winter and the early spring, they're a silver with a little bit of black in them. But this is a male, and he's been down there, well, he's maybe, I want to get him back down, but maybe he's guarding a nest or he's probably finished guarding a nest. They're the same as a bass or any other member of the sunfish family. The males stay around and they guard the nest. So we're gonna let him go back. Now, that fish probably got into the spawning act maybe 2 weeks ago by what the water temperature is. But again, they're exactly the same. You've got the crappie, you've got the sunfish, you've got the bluegill, you've got the largemouth bass, you've got the smallmouth bass. The male builds a nest, he goes and gets the female, he brings her back to the nest, she deposits her eggs, and then the female takes off and it's all left to the man. I don't want to go any farther than that, but it's all left to the man. He takes care of the little kids until they're ready to go to school, meaning after maybe 2 weeks, the male will leave the little guys and they're on their own. And there's a lot of mortality at that time. But if you're fishing bass and you're fishing crappie, try not, and I mean try not to catch them while they're guarding the nest, because if you pull them off the nest, other predators are going to go in there and they're going to scoop up the eggs or they're going to scoop up the baby fish. That was unintentional. I didn't even think the crappie were spawning right now. But I did see a big bass break water there a little while ago. What a day, I'll tell you. If you want to have a lot of fun, you need 3 things to start with. You need an ATV to get back into the backcountry. You need a Sportspal canoe when you get there, and you need an old yellow lab to have a lot of fun. I mean, great companionship. They do a lot of conversing. They pass on a lot of tips, and you're going to catch a lot of fish. Now listen, before we go any farther, and I mentioned this out in the boat today, if you're going out fishing, I don't care whether you got the kids or whether you're going out by yourself, make sure you got a life jacket, okay? And I keep hearing this over and over and over, you don't fish with a life jacket when you do your show. It's almost impossible for me to fish with a life jacket when I do my show because I've got this mic here and I've got a backpack on here and there's just too much static, okay? The other thing is if you're gonna go out in an ATV, don't go out without your helmet. You see these guys on TV and they're shooting all over the place without a helmet. They're crazy. The other thing, when you're on your ATV, as far as I'm concerned, and some of my sponsors aren't gonna like this, stay out of the streams with them. I see some of these yahoos shooting across the stream. You know what's in the stream? Fish eggs. You run across the fish eggs, you don't have any fish in the future. Stay out of the streams with your ATV. Okay, fishing tackle, real easy. Now the lure we used today was a Frenzy Diver, and I used it in a couple different colors. This is a shad finish, and I've got a jungle bunny here, and I got a blue one there, and I got a crawfish one there. I like the shad under the conditions we had today. The water was just a little off-colored, and the fish can see it a little better. The rod and the reel combination, again, you're gonna hear it from me. You don't need telephone poles and cable to go bass fishing. Yes, there are some circumstances where you're gonna be into a lot of weed, and you're gonna want that 20-pound test line. I ran 6-pound today, and we'll talk about the line in a minute. The rod's a Conalon Premier from Abu Garcia, and the reel's something all new. It's an Abu Garcia CD4. And the C stands for central, and that's where the drag is. There's no drag up front, and there's no drag behind. If you want to tighten the drag and you're fighting the fish, all you got to do is turn that. Plus or minus, it'll take the drag off, or it'll increase the drag, okay? Keeps your hands away from the line, and it keeps it away from your belly. You got the drag right there in the middle. I'm spooled up with 6-pound test Berkeley Vanish. Now, it's a fluorocarbon line. It's an all-new line, and the deal is it really does vanish. It's almost invisible in the water. A lot of the fluorocarbons are fairly stiff. This is fairly limp, all right? Again, it's almost invisible in the water. The fish can't see it. I'll tell you what, I've been out on the water and we've been catching a lot of bass. And again, we didn't catch the real big bass. That's just the way this lake is. So I'm gonna go back to the fire and I'm gonna show you what you do with some of these bass, especially when the lake has a lot of bass. Stay with us.
Going Fishing returns with the Echo Shore Lunch.
You know, while the pan's heating up and before we get to the ingredients and how we prepare the fish, I just want to talk about the fish and eating fish. I meet so many people say, oh, I will never eat bass. Well, you saw it today. You're going to get into lakes where there's lots of bass. I mean, we probably caught 100, 125 bass, but there were no real lunkers. And what you've got is a lake with a lot of bass, but it's not a quality fishery. Where you get those situations where the population's big, don't be afraid to eat bass. Now listen, they're a panfish. Sunfish are great. Crappie are great, bluegill are great, perch are great, bass are great. If the lake is healthy, please don't be afraid to eat a little bass. Okay, what we're doing today, it's called bass in beer, okay, or bass swimming in beer. Now what I did first was I took my bass fillets and I coated them in melted butter, and you'll see these spices on here, and I've taken a little bit of Eastman's lemon pepper, a little bit of Eastman's garlic lemon pepper, and a little bit of Eastman's Crazy Cajun pepper, okay? Now I've coated them in all 3 spices, but the spices are so good. Let's do it again. Now if you get a chance, Eastman's are new to Canada. You can find them in tackle shops, quality tackle shops. If the tackle shops don't have them, they're not quality, okay? Now my good buddy Malcolm Lurenberger up at Lurenberger's Lodges up in Nakina, he told me this recipe only works great, and I mean great for walleye, but I'll tell you what, it works great for walleye, it works great for bass, it works great for salmon, it works great for trout. Anything that has fins, this thing works great on. Now I've got something a little different that I'm gonna put in. I've got morels. Now, they're a wild mushroom. You find them in the forest in the spring up here around Owen Sound. They're better tasting than any mushroom I think you're ever going to find in a store. You only find them in the wild. And then I've got a couple things called leeks. Now, this is the way I've got them laid out here, but this is the way you find them in the bush, okay? They grow this way down, and the leaves are like this. You take that leek and you take those morels and you put it in the butter, and it's great. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the butter, I'm going to take the leeks, I'm going to take the morels, and I'm going to get it foaming. Then I'm going to lay the fish down, okay? Lay the fish in that foaming bath, get it for about 3 minutes. You want it frying. After about 3 minutes, you flip it over. And then when you flip it over and you're frying the other side, with this frying pan, you take 2 cans of Canadian, pour it on top, and you're making a bath, all right? You're swimming that fish in beer. Cook it for another 3 minutes, and you've got the greatest, and I mean the greatest eating. And hold your horses, you bass fishermen. You've got the greatest eating smallmouth and largemouth bass you're ever going to have. So let's get with it. You know, even though I did go bass fishing today with my best friend, Millie, I owe this recipe to a real good friend of mine, and I'll mention his name again. His name's Malcolm Lurenbergers at Lurenbergers Fly-In Camps out of Geraldton or Nakina, Northwestern Ontario. And I'm going to tell you what I've got one more time. I've got, well, the boys put the leek leaves on to add a little garnish, I guess. I've got raw leeks just for looks again. Well, I'll probably chew on those. I've got fried leeks. I've got morels. And I've got Molson Canadian bass. Now listen, remember, release the big ones, but if you get into a situation like we did today where the lake's full of small bass, anywhere from 1 pound to 1.5 pounds, don't be afraid to keep a few for the frying pan. I'll see you next week, because as soon as I finish this delicious meal, I'm going fishing with my best friend, Millie.
Going Fishing has been brought to you by Johnson and Evinrude, the top names in fishing. Princecraft Boats, a higher standard of quality. Abu Garcia, for life. And by Molson Canadian, I am Canadian. Going Fishing would also like to thank the following fine sponsors.
Going fishing. Going fishing. Baby smiling.